Hi everyone, this is Anna and welcome back to Financially Smart. This is part 3 of the debt management series. If you haven't watched the first and the second one, I will leave the link below. Please check that out for more tips on how you can effectively manage debt. Before we get started, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and ring that bell to get notifications on my new videos. Use a monthly budget to plan your expenses. Remember that spreadsheet I talked about that has all your payments in form of debt, utilities, groceries, and other stuff that might apply to you? That's called a budget. Keeping a budget helps ensure you have enough money to cover your monthly expenses, or at least help you realize where you can cut back on spending and why you are defaulting to using your credit card each month. Remember, I asked you about that venti caramel macchiato, and if you really need it, having that budget sheet that includes all your expenses visually organized can help you significantly in not just paying off your debt, but managing your expenses better to prevent future debt. It also invigorates you into more aggressively saving money to prevent future debt. But again, don't forget, taking into consideration that the smaller the amount is, the easier it is to pay off. Don't forget to pay attention to the interest rates of your bills, as you'll want to prioritize paying off expenses with higher interest rates first to avoid spending more money than needed. A budget also helps you plan to spend any extra money you have left after expenses are covered. You can use this extra money to pay off debt faster. Just remember what your end goal is, which is paying off your debt. Keep your money safe from yourself and avoid impulse spending. Let's go back to that venti caramel macchiato. If finding that little bit extra is what's holding you back, try tracking your expenses for a few weeks to see where you're actually spending your money. What you'll find out about your spending habit might surprise you. Most people don't realize how quickly all those little expenses and impulse buying add up. Buying a daily coffee, grabbing a newspaper, picking up takeout instead of making dinner, randomly going into the store for those shoes because it's on sale. The key thing is, we often forget to ask ourselves, do we need this or want this? The follow-up questions we also forget is, if we want this, can we afford this? And if we feel we can afford this, take out your debit card and not your credit card. Cable and cell phone plan. Another great expenses people tend to overlook is how much they pay for their TV cable, internet, and cell phone plan. These days, there are tons of streaming services you can use that cost the fraction of the amount you will be paying for your cable. Similarly, you don't need to have the latest cell phone with the maximum amount of data, especially if you're working from home. The phones that came out 3 years ago is still as good, and if you find yourself in a situation where you need to get another phone, cheaper phones and mid-range phones are actually pretty good these days. There are other options such as debt consolidation, a consumer loan with lower interest managed by a financial institution that will help you set up budget, expense plan, and debt repayment plan, exactly like how we discussed in this video. Debt consolidation loans are usually of a lower interest rate compared to what you are collectively owed, but require you to have at least fair credit, but not necessarily. Debt settlement. Some debt settlement agencies who push for their consumer proposals advertise that their clients only paid $5,000 for a $30,000 loan, but fail to mention that this will impact your credit score and ability to secure future loans. Another thing to remember, a consumer proposal requires you to create that spreadsheet we have been talking about all this time, give it to a licensed insolvency trustee, and it requires approval by the Canada's Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy, as well as all your creditors. Your creditors do have the option to refuse your proposal. Bankruptcy, the least favorable option with the most credit-breaking consequence. I know a lot of us have heard about this or have familiarity with this, so let's go through the most common misconceptions and clear out the important facts. Bankruptcy does not mean your debt is completely wiped out, and there are some forms of debt that cannot be included in bankruptcy. Also important to remember is that not all debt can be discharged from bankruptcy even after settlement and the perceived statute of limitations. These all have advantages and disadvantages, so weigh your options carefully. Paying off debt takes time, motivation, and dedication. Anyone can do it. You just have to be consistent and goal-driven. The process of how to get out of debt is different for everyone, so find a plan that works for you. I hope this gives you some insights to make sure that your debt don't get out of control. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and ring that bell, and I'll see you all on the next video. Next video will be about balance transfer.